Hello and welcome to the 300th episode of the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles. That there secondary intro that you saw was done by, I guess, family of the show, The Adam Black, correct?
Yes, The Adam Black. Now I just realized no one could hear the music playing, right?
No,
it's on the recording.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It's on the recording because side note, last week's I thought the same, and then I listened to the I listened to the published recording. I was like, oh, it's there.
Yeah, usually if I get well, a little behind the scenes, it should pick up because of how I got it set up. So
don't mind me. I'm not here every week.
No worries. But nevertheless, folks, just get this intro out of the way really quick. That voice you hear we will get to in a moment. But first, commentating, illustrating, descriptions given, adjective expert, analyzing, surmising, musical myth-seeking people of the universe. It's Agent 70.
What's up, everybody?
Wasn't sure if I was going to get through that or not. And you can find him at Agent_70 at Twitter and Instagram. Once again, you think I would be doing this enough. And one for the morning, yes, so two for the show. A couple of years ago on Headland and Below was the starter, something good. When Tim and his brother wrote The Martyr, Through the Hood, just trying to find that comic book hookup. Now every day we look up at the ceiling, watching ceiling fans go around trying to kiss that feeling off weekly releases. It's Tim Dog 98, folks.
I am back.
He is back with us, the Osiris of this ish. That's right. Give him double applause.
Thank you. Good to be back for this 300 episode.
Hell yeah.
I'm just go ahead and add. And maybe a little bit of since we hadn't had that one in a while. And you can find Tim at Tim DOGG98 on Twitter. You can find him at DKLIQNation.com. You can find him on DKLIQNation on Twitter, CB Cron on Twitter. But you can most definitely find him at Comic Book Recesses, where he's writing his face off each and every week.
Yes, sir. CBR.com.
That's right, CBR.com. Unless you got any other sites, you starting your own book company, like we got some.
No.
Okay.
Nothing to announce just yet.
Just yet. No worries.
Maybe a few more years.
The imprint coming to quite soon. And not here tonight is PC_Dirt because of power issues. That's the brakes. It's gonna have
Blame Illinois, 40-mile-per-hour winds and 4-degree wind chill,
aka Silent Hill. Yeah.
He may, depending on how quickly the power company works, he may be joining us.
He might be. Yes, indeed. And you can find him at PC_Dirt on Twitter, popculturenetwork.com, popculturenet on Twitter, that new choice mail on Twitter. I mean on .com, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever the Vine thing is coming on, because we got to say that every week, because I feel like we're at this point contractually obligated. And myself, the host of this, you can find myself, Roddy Cat, on Twitter at Roddy Cat, News Nerds Need on Twitter, News Nerds Need Reddit, CB Caps Instagram, and yada yada yada. No pithy thing for myself because I can do that. You can find this podcast on the CSPN network, the CSPN.us.
Do it today.
Word. You can subscribe to this podcast on Google Play, which I thought, what is going on with this thing? On Google Play, on Apple iTunes, and of course Spotify. But you can also find us on the SoundCloud page of the Cold Slither Podcast Network. And shop.cspn.us, which may or may not be working, but nevertheless, you can go to cspn.us regardless, and go find the link that will help us get to some, go get yourself some swag from this here podcast.
Merch.
Yes,
get that merch.
and help us keep this boat floating. There you go. With that, folks, we are going to start off with the books of the week like we tend to do about this time. We're going to start off with Young Justice number 2.
Alrighty.
I will just go ahead and start off and say that reading this book, I have mentioned my interpretations about this book from the start, but basically because of who's writing it. But this issue kind of turned it around for this issue, I dare say. I don't know. I think matter of fact, I said in my notes, I'm weirdly liking this book. That can't last long. Also, it's continuity, as we found out between the last issue and this one, which I still have questions. So neither one of you were on the show when we first talked about this, and me and Dirk talked about it, and we both had questions because of people that show up in the book, specifically the Robin.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't know how continuity is DC's weird, but was a Robin at one time, but wasn't a Robin at one time, or whatever the case may be. Or we're talking about Tim Drake. So, and like the Wonder Girl situation and all that kind of good mess. So, like, I assume a lot of that's going to come out during the course of the book, maybe. But that aside, it's been a good read. So I don't know if you got anything else you want to add to that.
I just flipped through it myself, but I know there's it sort of changes up or sort of confirms some things for Wonder Girl and her past.
Yes,
but it is. I think the issue skips on showing what's going on with Impulse and Superboy, but I hear that's coming in the next issue.
Correct. Right, because at the end of the first issue, that's where that stopped. I mean, that's where that ended, and then they skip to this stuff here. Which I almost compared this to the last volume of Champions when they went to Weird World, but it's not. I guess you kind of could say that because I mean, Gem World is its own world in itself, but not strictly.
Yeah. Well, this is a Wonder Girl centric issue,
right?
And what we have is there's a couple of things where we have Despero, who's actually a pretty powerful villain. What's the wrestling term for? Oh, jobbing. He basically jobs to Wonder Girl in this issue, putting her over. There's a more wrestling terminology, right? So, that's a big part of this issue, and we also get a little bit more of some of the background on Wonder Girl and where she is now with how she kind of falls into the hierarchy of Amazons and Zeus, and how she fits in with Wonder Woman, aka Princess Diana. So that's a big chunk of this book.
Yeah, assuming we're going to get more of that also and going forward too, because they can't just put that out there and just leave it there.
Sure, and they also keep introducing a lot of characters we're going to need a little bit more background on. So, but this is Bendis after all, and unfortunately, it's all very drawn out. It takes a lot. There's not a whole lot happening in this book, really. There's probably going to be a lot more, background for some of these new characters coming up over the next few issues of the arc.
Yeah, I mean, it's an introductory arc, so I'm sure. I doubt we will get all of the answers to some of that stuff in this arc, but I'm pretty sure, like you said, Bendis is going to draw it out and at some point maybe bring it up.
Right. Probably. By the time we get to, this is only issue number 2. By the time we get to issue 4, we'll probably have most of the intros set, and then however it is that they come out of Gem World is going to be, the ending of the arc.
Or by the time we get to 4, Bendis will do something that'll be groan-inducing.
We shall see.
Yeah, no. That being said, because that's a developing thing, so we can go on to another book. You gotta pick, because I got 2 thoughts.
Go ahead, throw something on. I'm just now getting to your list. You want to talk about Avengers?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, so we'll humor Tim a bit because I don't think he's gotten to this. How are you up to date on Avengers, Tim?
Yeah, I just read what issue is this week?
14.
14?
Yeah.
I read 13 earlier this week.
Okay.
And I kind of thumbed through this one.
So what? So let's talk about this. So you hadn't been on the show for a second, because how have you been liking this the run so far?
Oh, I like it. I know a lot of people weren't crazy about the Celestial stuff in the beginning, which I admit was kind of slow, but since then it's taken off and all these new super teams forming and
the 1 million BC stuff.
Yeah, the 1 million BC, the Iron Fist origin was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a kick reading that one.
Yeah. I saw you made it your click of the week on Instagram.
Yep.
And
yeah, I think
so yeah, all that's been fun. Now he's teeing up War of the Realms that Avengers will get tied into. I guess I'm kind of curious how this Vampire Civil War just came out of nowhere, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm thinking because he, even in the first arc, he introduced a couple of things that's coming down the line. Well, a bunch of stuff that's coming down the line, including this. So this just happens to be because like the Namor stuff, this and some stuff they kind of alluded to, in passing. So I'm slightly surprised that this is the first thing they got back to outside of that Namor stuff, but I guess that's going to get handled at some point soon. Or maybe that part was to kind of start off Invaders, which I don't know. That would be something. But regardless, I don't know. As I said in my notes, I feel like he had this. Aaron's kind of had this vampire story somewhere in his pocket that he's wanting to do, and it just so happens that he got Avengers to do it. To do it. So even without the Avengers, this probably would have gone on somewhere.
Right.
But I see you, Dave, in your notes, you kind of mentioned something about.
Yeah, I kind of thought this feels like, what a backdoor pilot, what that style of TV show is. It's kind of like a backdoor pilot style story for introducing Blade to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they just jump right into, a vampire war, and the Avengers have to recruit someone to help fight it.
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking it's just more of as we will see in a couple of different books this week, and books in the past. Like they just want to keep those IPs out there and up. Like, yeah, that could be definitely a thing they're trying to do, because I know every now and then Blade kind of pops up in the news as being in the MCU, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But at the same time, like a bunch of people in this book that show up haven't been seen in eons. Some would say including Blade, but even though Blade was around, I think Blade last time Blade showed up was it after Axis, when they did that Mighty Avengers with Sam and them?
Yeah, one of the whatever version of Avengers that Al Ewing was writing. Yeah.
So that was like what, good 3 or 4 years ago at this point?
Pretty much.
And that was like the last time we kind of saw him, which they haven't drawn a pin in that. So technically he's been a part of the Avengers before. It's just so this not officially, I guess, because that probably wasn't as official a team as this one is. That being said, though, hey, I'm really curious as to where this is going to go. It doesn't seem like it's going to tie into War of the Realms, or maybe it will with the vampire stuff. Kind of doubt it, because I know it's only 2 months away, but
it also says it also teases War of the Realms coming, right?
Right, yeah, because it says on the top it's 2 months coming, but then a lot of books has that this week though. So
yeah, I think that's more of an advertisement than anything.
Right, and there was nothing specific about it.
I think that if the War of the Realms had more to do with the hell side of things, but it isn't. It's more Malekith and his and his allies, looking to conquer the last of the 10 realms. So I don't think it's going to be really tying in, but I really like the fact that Aaron's diving into the one character who's not the typical Avenger and really kind of using that to expand, and create future and different storylines. It's not the usual stuff that we're seeing with the Avengers. I kind of like that.
Right, and vampires hadn't been seen much like another genre that we'll talk about later on. Hadn't been seen in a good minute.
I have liked the Agents of Wakanda.
Yeah, and they seem to be doing something with that. So we'll see if that's going to stick or it's going to crumble at some point.
Well, I was about to say, so long as the Avengers are chaired by T'Challa, that's going to be going on. So we'll see how long
exactly
this particular chairmanship. Yeah, we'll see how long this chairmanship lasts, because obviously that's part of Aaron's bigger story. How the Avengers were traditionally like a U.S. based team, and now that they're not, the reformed Squadron Supreme is going to be and all the other superhero groups around the world are all going to be coming to a head.
Right. So yeah, and that's something like I said, none of that kind of played into this issue, but we'll see how that's going to go going further. So let us move on. Let's go to Champions.
Okay.
Because speaking of hell,
yeah, I was about to say, this is one of those books that, shout out to the old Arsenio Hall show. Things that make you go, there's something in this issue that made me go, WTF.
Yeah. So this is basically, after the last issue, this is, I guess, what happened in between the part of that book. Because we see the team go off on a mission, and then we see them come back, and we see Miles Morales kind of acting a little different, and various other people on the team acting a little bit different after that. And this seems like what happened. This is what actually to bring up that.
Just filled in the blank of what happened and how they got to the ending of issue number 1.
So tell me, you up on Champions or no? I know you were on this book when it was.
I know. I read the first issue, so I know Miles' whole deal with the devil, and I flipped through this one, and I know, like I said, they jump ahead in time to show where or when that deal was made.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or jump backwards. Yeah.
Or backwards. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I don't know if Agent 70 has the same questions I do, but the one thing that made me think of was, what was it, Brand New Day?
Of course.
And I'm sitting here like, don't let this be Brand New Day. We don't need another one.
Of course. I mean, my notes were basically Spider characters just don't learn from Johnny Blaze's example. You know, Johnny Blaze, made a choice, made a mistake, and the Spider characters just don't learn.
Right. So, and I'm also going to assume that, and actually, I'm glad they brought it up in the book, because when they showed the choice being made, it reverberated, and some people you would expect to kind of get the feels on it have, which brought me to another question. We know Mephisto's still around. Spoiler, he shows up in this book, but we know he's around. We know he's, I guess, since he got kicked out, speaking of Johnny Blaze, he got kicked out of hell. And I know we know he's been around because he's shown up in a few books already. He mentioned he has souls. Where is he getting these souls from when he got kicked out of his domain?
That's editorial not doing its job.
Or something. Or is basically Mephisto lying and saying he's got more than he actually does. We don't know.
Right. We don't really know how, we're on issue 2 of what's probably a 4 or 5 or 6 issue story. So much like we were saying earlier about Young Justice, we probably still don't have a full picture of what exactly this bargain entails.
No, the bargain that wasn't supposedly a bargain.
Right. Well, we all know it's a bargain. So,
right. But my thing was like, wait, Damnation kind of put Mephisto somewhere. So I'm like, okay, maybe Doctor Strange is going to come show up, since they did show him in the book in this issue or whatnot. But I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So, And also, weirdly enough, on the side note, which I know he Miles has got his own book and he's got his own friends and a relationship now, but I still like him and Kamala together. That's just me, and that kind of shows based on speaking of the decision that was made.
Yeah,
I mean, the same guy's writing both books now, so that should help.
Who? Zeb?
I mean, they're solo books. Miss Marvel and
right. All right. Solid Ahmed is writing. Yeah, he will be starting Miss Marvel soon. That's right. You're absolutely right. So
they should be hopefully interacting more going forward. Maybe just some type of crossover.
Yeah, I hope so. They're dope together.
Yeah, I was about to say. I think if I'm not mistaken, they're appearing together in another book. Outside of Champions and outside of their solo books soon.
I thought in that World of Realm. That War of the Realms book, is that what you're talking about?
Might be. I definitely saw something in the solicits I was looking through over for the next for books in the near future, over like 2 months from now. So
right, I think it's a Journey into Mystery. I know Miles is in that book. I'm not sure about.
Now you're gonna make me look, so you guys can talk while I take a look.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm not sure what else to say about Champions outside of Miles pulls Lil Jon.
He screams,
yeah. He was like, okay.
Oh no!
At least that's how I read it. I don't know, but
oh no! Now that's not gonna leave my
I saw that. I was like, is he really? Did he really do that, or is it like I'm just projecting that because of that Super Bowl commercial?
Oh no!
It could be a little bit of both. We don't know, folks. It doesn't at this point. It is what it is.
Now I remember. They're starring in the first Marvel team up book.
No, that's
Peter. No, that's right.
Yeah, that's Peter and now that's not to say because so going back to that for a second, because we don't know, because they made it sound like, and I think we talked about this when that was supposed to happen, when it happened. We know the first arc is going to be her and Peter,
right?
But is the book going forward going to be her and somebody, or is it still going to be Peter and somebody? They never actually made that clear, but it made it sound like it's going to be her going forward. I think the dogs disagree. Yeah.
Oh no! This is where I did see it. I apologize. Okay. It's Shuri number 7.
Oh right,
they're going to be
right. I think I saw that in the solicit. Yeah.
Yep.
Which I'm looking forward to that one too. So that being said, hey, that's fine. More team ups with them. That'll be awesome. So let us move on. If we got nothing else about Champions,
no, we're good.
I guess, do y'all want to go ahead and start talk about Justice League, or we want to shelve that one for a minute? Because we're gonna talk about Hulk.
Yes, I was gonna want. I want to talk about Hulk number 13.
Do it. Yes, let's do it.
Right. So we are. Goodness gracious! So this is the end of the Hulk. This is the end of the Hulk's trip to hell, and it definitely raises more questions than it answers.
Yes, and I don't know if you got the same question that I do about one part of it, but
I was about to say we'll get to it. Let me just pull up I'm trying to pull up the book, because what we have is, we have some revelations about how Gamma relates to what we've seen. It's we basically get a little bit of a retcon into how it affects characters in the Marvel universe once there's too much gamma radiation. And it seems like there's something of a supernatural explanation for some of its effects on some characters, i.e. the Hulk and the Abomination and so on and so forth. So there's a little bit of retconning by Al Ewing in that respect. But when it comes to the battle now over the souls of these characters and trying to keep this green door open, it gets to a point where Bruce and the Devil Hulk that he's kind of locked away for so long have to reconcile in order to shut this green door.
Right. Which I love that part right there, because it was like, oh no, that's new. That's a new wrinkle.
Yeah.
Because the Hulk's being all tender and whatnot. spoilers. Tim, have you been reading Immortal any, or have you?
I fell off the issue. I fell off earlier on, but I hear so many good things about it. I want to.
It's worth catching
go
up.
back and get caught up on it. Yeah,
totally. So I don't know if you got this feeling or not, 87A, but at the end of it, I wasn't sure how this issue was going to end, but at some point I thought someone was going to say, "Thank you for listening to my TED Talk." By the way, the narration's been going.
Right. I understand. I understand.
But it didn't, which also leads me to the question, and I don't know if this was one of your questions, like, who is the voice that's doing the narration or whatever the case may be, because clearly that's not who we thought it was.
Yeah, it's, listen, the next to last page of the narration and the black and white art and kind of what we've all been, kind of following, in broad strokes. The story of the Devil Hulk up till now, it basically says, we'll speak to you again in due time. So we're not sure yet, and that's the big question that still hasn't been answered.
Right. Which I'm kind of wondering if it's somebody who got name dropped in this issue, or it's just somebody we just don't know anything about at all.
I lean towards we don't know too much about this character yet.
Quite possible. But we also confirmed, it sounds like we confirmed something that we was wondering about last week with the fate of one Thunderbolt Ross. Or at least I should say at the end of the book we get some idea on that, because it sounds like something's going to get addressed next issue. About that, if you haven't been keeping up with that, because that was something we were kind of asking about since the last issue, and other places that he's shown up or been dropped, named have been dropped.
I was about to say more like mentioned, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't where I thought it was going to go.
Right.
This, from the last cliffhanger page of the last issue, you really were under the impression that, the Hulk was some form of avatar for, like an arm of hell or like the devil itself. And it, the beginning of this book really changes that up. At least your kind of messes with your expectations. And like it's so hard. I feel like I need to reread the last few issues again just to see, what Ewing's, really telling here.
You may not. I got a feeling that may not still be clear,
right? Even after a reread, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on another note, and I saw that you put a note in on this as well. I'm kind of glad to see Crusher Creel, aka the Absorbing Man's character rehabilitation continuing from where it was at the end of the Black Bolt series.
Yeah, so I was going to ask. Yeah, I was going to mention Black Bolt specifically for that, and I was going to ask you, and I'm going to hate myself. Is this another in a line of his face turn? I don't know if I use that term right or not.
More wrestling, yes, that's definitely correct. Yeah, I don't necessarily think Crusher Creel was ever the best heel in the world. If you even go back to his origin, he was a puppet. He's a puppet of Loki.
Yes,
and small time crook, not much of a schemer, not much of a big picture guy, and just trying to pay the rent sometimes. And that's how he was kind of portrayed with Titania. They were just trying to settle down and find ways to pay the rent. And this issue kind of brings that back. It's kind of like, well, I know I know who I am. I know, my history, and I'm going to lose this battle. But I know someone who's not. And I was just like, you know what? That works.
Yeah.
Without spoiling too much of this story.
And sounds like he might have a new deal. So I feel like the start of this thing wasn't. I kind of wondered, but that was have to be asking some questions around like the start of this turn wasn't back in that I can't remember the name of the series, but it was, I want to say it was after Pleasant Hill, or around the time of Pleasant Hill, or whatever that was called. The little Avengers event where they had all the villains in jail and the people got out, and then the Hood and a bunch of people ended up having a series out of that, which I liked so much. I liked a lot. I think Titania and Crusher was in that for a minute. I said, well, all the way through, I want to say.
Okay.
And I wanted to say the start of his turn might have been from there, because, like you said, he's always been just basically trying to pay the rent and stuff like that for his whole time. But I want to say of that series, I would have to look it up, and I'm not going to take the time to do that right now. So, but if you know what the series I'm talking about, then that was kind of where the turn was for Crusher, leading into Black Bolt and this. So, although there's been some times where they kind of, took him back and forth with it, but it's good to see this is coming on. We'll see where it goes from here. Let's see. I think we're pretty much almost tapped out of everything we've gotten to read both together. Yeah, I think so. So how about you want to go ahead and hit Justice League, and you and Tim can go ahead and take on that one.
So this was a big issue that sort of linked up Martian Manhunter and Lex Luthor's backstories together, where we get to see them as little kids, and though Lex didn't know it, they actually were kind of best friends. And this whole conversation takes place on Mars, where they're also being chased by these creatures that live in the ground that feast on emotions, I think.
Yeah, the Quonars.
Yeah. So that was basically the gist of the issue.
Right. I mean, it's a big retcon because they're retconning the Martian Manhunter's origin. And
wait, outside of what they're doing in that series he's got now?
I don't even remember where that is.
Are you talking about the solo series he had a couple years ago?
No, the one right now.
Oh, I forgot he does have a miniseries out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, granted, that's not. I mean, because that's going into his past on Mars,
where he's a cop, right?
Right.
I need to get caught up on that.
I think it's only 2-3 issues in. So
I talked to Snyder Tuesday. I didn't even think to ask him about that. I'm sure you would have said it. That's his own separate thing.
Name drop.
I know. Look at this dude.
Name drop. Look at this dude.
I finally finished transcribing it today, so hopefully it'll a better run tomorrow. Actually.
Oh shoot! So look out on CPR for an article by Tim.
Yeah, that's all I've been doing this week. That's the reason I haven't done anything. I have transcribed 2 interviews.
Oh shoot!
But yeah.
Wait, can you?
The other one came out already. The Rainn Wilson one.
The Rainn Wilson one, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't see that one. All right.
Yeah, Rainn Wilson for he again voiced Lex Luthor for Reign of the Superman. That actually came out that was like spur of the moment, because CBR asked me if I had watched it, the Reign of Superman, and had interest in talking to him. I was like, I haven't seen it, but I want to talk to him. And then I got a copy of it. So basically I had 2 hours to watch it, and I almost finished it. I still didn't finish it before I talked to him, but I mean, I got the gist of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you pretty much knew the story anyway, right?
What was that?
You pretty much knew the story anyway, right?
Yeah. So
yeah.
But yeah, he was cool to talk to. And then the following week I talked to Scott Tuesday. So my second time talking to him. He's cool.
Tim Dog 98 name dropping.
So look forward to that on.
So yes, that will be dropping tomorrow, more than likely.
Nice.
So yeah, he talks about all the stuff that happened in 17 and teases some of the stuff coming up throughout the year.
Okay. Wait, do I even actually wait a minute? Hold on for a second, because I thought maybe no, because I was about to say, I thought I might have had something on that in the news and the.
Nothing's new has come out about it. The only thing we know is whatever's been in the solicits.
Right.
Like
there's an art thing I just noticed, but no, it was nothing. Right. So.
Yeah.
Right. Honestly, just for a quick second, when I was, while I was reading this, I did not remember, or maybe it just didn't cross my mind, that one of the characters that was being featured was, what is it? Not Alexander Luthor. Luthor the Senior. What's his name?
His dad?
Yeah.
Lionel.
I did not realize that was Lionel Luthor. At first I thought this might have been the guy from the Doom Patrol, like before he was in a wheelchair. But once it got to,
oh yeah,
just because of the beard, I think the beard threw me, and I just I couldn't remember what that character is. Now I'm looking it up real quick. It's the Chief, Niles Calder. That dude that's sitting in the wheelchair. With that big bushy red-headed beard and red hair. I thought it was him, but then it made more sense that it was Lionel Luthor.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, of course, they do the revelation later in the issue, but it's like a small kid with red hair. Oh, that's Lex Luthor. First thing I thought when I saw the kid.
Gotcha. No, I mean, you clued in on it much quicker than I did.
Oh yeah, and I think the dad too. Like, I saw the dad, I was like, that looks like his dad. That's probably Lex. And of course, it was.
Gotcha.
Oh, I have heard this issue likened to a buddy cop movie. Is that
not quite yet? Because I guess it's supposed to be, because Lex doesn't believe what John is telling him, because him and his dad had their memories erased. We learn, so that's why he has no memory of it. But actually, next issue is a Legion of Doom issue that's going to focus on Lex going to look for the answers himself. So, issue 18, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Right, because what we end the story with is Lex kind of coming to terms of what might have happened. So that's a perfect segue into what Tim was just describing.
Okay. Solid. Well, that being the case, I think we're pretty much roasted that one, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. We can probably jump into rapid fire unless
I was about to say, because pretty much everything else I can do in 1 or 2 lines.
Alrighty, here we go. Here comes rapid fire. Here we go. Unless you want me to spin up the cannon just for the hell of it.
No, hey, one clip is as good as another.
There it is.
So rapid fire time, folks, and I guess I'll go ahead and get mine out of the way. As Guardians of the Galaxy number 6. I know there's some people who've been dropping off of those. I still kind of like it. I don't know how much farther this is going to go, but
at least through War of the Realms.
Yes, definitely. So it seems like, which I guess this is starting to pivot towards that from the way it looks. The only thing the only thing I'm gonna say is, like, okay, one, MCU Yondu's got a new crew. Planet Terry, folks. If you are a certain vintage, you know that name. If you are not of a certain vintage, that's fine and dandy.
I flipped through this. I thought for sure that was not the what was the comic line called?
Star.
It was Star Comics.
Yeah, that's where it's from.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So Planet Terry shows up and a bunch of other people, a few other people, including I think the girl Cammy was from that Drax mini. Like when they basically changed him to kind of how he is now, or sort of.
Okay.
But that was from years ago. I can't remember if that was in the Pip Patrol that shows up to look nothing like the one we know about, but they even mentioned something like that. Either way, so it's the Asgardians going up against Yondu's versions of the Ravagers, and all I can say is I miss the old Yondu. Because I kind of hate the Ravagers version of Yondu, which this is playing off of.
Right.
But nonetheless, hey, it's a story. They got to a place.
Yeah, I was about to say this is MCU current time Yondu, not future Yondu.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
future Yondu is the one that we know.
Right. But yeah, exactly. But that being said, hey, this is a story. It sounds like it's seeming to be pivoting towards War of the Realms, and that's about it. Star Wars: Age of Republic, Anakin Skywalker #1. It's an Anakin Skywalker story. I don't know what else you want me to say. So it's basically, it is during the time of the Clone Wars. It's somewhere in between somewhere in the midst of the movies. I'm not entirely sure where. It seems like around Phantom Menace. No, I'm sorry. No, it's not. No, it's not. Perhaps somewhere between Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. It kind of doesn't really matter. But this is basically a story of him doing something. This could have been an episode of Clone Wars. That's all you need to know. Let's see. Star Wars #61. So they're off Hubrin. They've at this point, they're trying to find the resistance. In this issue, they get a lead to them. Actually, they end up finding them. Luke's got lady troubles to a point. 3PO gets some new legs. A couple of things happen. There's a mention of Hera and the Ghost, and I appreciate that because I love Rebels. Lots of Afro shade that was kind of going on in the course of this issue, but basically it gets from, hey, they were trying to find a rebellion, they found them, and now they're going to try to enact Leia's plan that she dreamt up while they were on that other planet. And to the Marcona, still dope, but hopefully we get to see a little bit more of her going forward. Doesn't look like it because of issue, but hey, we'll see. Killmonger #4. Basically, this seems like we are starting to line back up with what seems to be where we're going with this. It took kind of a detour, and this seems to be starting to go back towards the MCU version of Killmonger to a point. Although with a slight twist, because there was a spirit or someone just shows up at the end in this book that I don't recall being mentioned anywhere in the Black Panther series, in any of the Black Panther series or whatnot. Maybe this was, and I just and specifically not the new, obviously not this recent one because they're in space, but maybe it was something from the last volume where the old gods or something showing up. We don't know, but this is supposed to be Killmonger's past, so it's there's a blending. But like I said, it seems to be lining up to where we know the MCU version of Killmonger is going to go. But we'll see next issue, which I think is the last issue. And last but not least, the Gunhawks #1. I don't know. I just read this on a whim, but like my notes say, yep, it's a Western. It's a Marvel book with none of the usual suspects so far. Looks like there was a Gunhawks run back in the 70s, apparently from the end of this book would suggest. And I said it weirdly reads a little like Kingsway West, but with white folks and no magic MacGuffin. So you got this dude named Dean something or other who was a sheriff of this, who's sheriff of this town. And this is taking place in 1914, which I don't recall being a place that Marvel has touched too much upon outside of the Western books in the past. This guy has a past, and it catches up to him. And at the end of the book, he ends up, I guess going to deal with his past. I don't have no idea, because like he was all set up to kind of live a nice life until his past showed up again, and then But the end of the book does have a nice little history of Marvel's dealing with in Western before, and I'm not sure if this is a mini series or a ongoing or whatnot. But hey, just like vampires, they're bringing back Westerns again in Marvel. So, and there you go. That's my books.
Alrighty. I'm going to run through the rest of my books real quickly. Batman #64. So this is kind of an interlude story written by Joshua Williamson that basically ties this book directly into current Heroes in Crisis continuity and follows up on the Gotham and Gotham Girl storyline. Can leave it at that. Moving on to one of the big launches this week, which was Daredevil #1. I was kind of hoping to hear what PCN _ Dirt had to say about this, because he was looking forward to Daredevil kind of being back in the saddle again. It's an interesting start to a new chapter in Daredevil, and it borrows a lot of themes from the last season of Daredevil on Netflix, season 3. A lot of themes. So, where Zdarsky chooses to take this, I hope that it goes in a good direction, because, from what I've read in interviews, I think Zdarsky's going down a pretty, he's going to send Daredevil down a pretty rough patch. Tony Stark, Iron Man #8. This is the next chapter in Slott's big series opening story about the VR Escape that has been sold by Stark Unlimited, and the story is actually finally coming together. There were a couple of really difficult issues, early on in this run, creating the setup for the Escape story, but this issue and the last couple of issues have really helped to make it a coherent story. So it'll probably read a lot better in trade, but it's finally starting to make some sense. And finally, Uncanny X-Men #11. I don't want to spoil too much. This is a pretty depressing story to read. So much so that there's a spoiler alert message to readers in the letters page. So I'll leave it at that. But basically, the big thing in the story is Cyclops coming to terms with what has happened, and one Wolverine basically coming back into the fold as well. Please note that the Age of X-Men storyline that's happening in the miniseries, the various miniseries that are being published, one of which started this week, is happening concurrently with what's happening in Uncanny X-Men, and that these two stories, these two story tracks are running parallel. So things that are happening in Uncanny X-Men are probably going to reflect what the current status of the Age of X-Men story is.
You just answered the question I had, so thank you.
Yeah, I want to say I heard this on a This Week in Marvel podcast about this event, that the Uncanny book is going to continue and basically tell the story of what's happening in the Marvel U while Age of X-Men is going on wherever it's going on.
All right, solid. With that, Tim, you been reading Uncanny?
I didn't really like the weekly, but I think I only have like 2 issues to finish that up. And I did read the annual.
Gotcha. And I guess before we get into Clicks of the Week, I want to ask you: are there any books that come to mind? I know, like you've been kind of busy. Any books come to mind that you've been pressed upon, of the newer books that's been coming out?
Wow.
Put them on the spot.
What have I been liking? I wish I had my iPad here next to me. I could actually tell you what I've been liking. Thor is great. Avengers is great. I caught up with Justice League. Took a while. I'm behind on Batman, and I need to get caught up on that. After the wedding issue, I read like the first 2 issues of the Mr. Freeze story arc, and haven't read it since. Heroes in Crisis is interesting. I know everyone hates it. A lot of folks hate it.
I'm still on the wait and see on this.
That's what I'm kind of just waiting to see.
Yeah.
Wonder Comics is cool. Naomi was great.
That's something I need to take a look at.
Yeah, same here.
Actually, I need to write about it. I'm so far behind writing.
Super Sons, are you still reading that?
No, I'm not reading the Adventures of Super Sons. Once I knew the series was canceled, I kind of like gave up on the regular Super Sons, and I haven't read the limited series.
Gotcha.
Marvel stuff. Tony Stark Iron Man is boring.
No, I'm telling you, it comes together in this issue. That's what I was saying.
Fantastic Four, I haven't really liked them anyway, and it's still boring. Slott needs to get back on Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Man to me has been boring as well.
Oh, have you read Friendly Neighborhood?
That is good because Tom Taylor is excellent. There's only 2 issues so far, but that is good.
I'm still not liking that backstory.
That one's a little tough.
Yeah, that'll play out some more. Amazing Spider-Man, I'm behind on. I'm like 3 issues behind. I kind of flipped through the issues. Nothing's really happening.
Yeah, I fault Spencer on this, that he hasn't really been keeping our attention.
Yeah, he like Slott was hard to follow. I know a lot of folks didn't like Slott, but I enjoyed his Spider-Man run.
Well, I feel a lot of people don't like Slott for different reasons outside of his writing, but
yeah, same with Spencer. X-Force is fine for now. I'm trying to go through like franchises. I don't read Guardians of the Galaxy is awesome because it's Donny Cates.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
First issue. That'd be my favorite issue so far in 2019, and of course we're only like a month in. I can't wait for that next issue. What's the case? Oh, Venom's great as well. Oh, Marvel released info on their 2 free comic book day titles.
Right.
The Avengers is teasing some deadly new team. The Spider-Man Venom was announced, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago. Both of them teasing big story arcs for Peter Parker, Miles, and for Venom, which Venom is probably going to be some big summer Venom event, I assume, or fall event probably, because War of the Realms is taking up the summer. So Venom, whatever they're doing with that, with the Maker and tying him into the Venom into the larger Marvel universe is a good twist. Kind of wish I was reading Killmonger. There's a bunch of stuff I wish I was reading. Killmonger, Shuri, Black Panther. I need to catch up on. Captain America. I need to catch up on.
I was about to say Black Panther's tough to catch up on.
Actually, it'll probably be good now that there's
I feel like it's missed months. It's missed some months.
Well, like I said, the beauty of it though is you can. I don't know where you last read, but now that there's been a good arc or 2 or arc going into another arc coming out, it's probably easy to read because it's a trade's worth.
Yeah, it probably because of mystery is probably why I fell off of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we kind of but there's been some information that we had already talked about like before that kind of come out in the other books about that kind of let some of that stuff off the hook.
And same with Cap. I need to catch up on Cap and Immortal Hulk. I guess that's about it. Can't think. Ain't nothing else really jumps to mind.
Yeah, you really should catch up on Immortal Hulk though.
Yeah, that's like once I get like a couple hours on a weekend.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah,
knock that out. It's not too hard. And Superman and Action Comics. I wish I was reading. I hear good things about Bendis's Spider-Man run. Kind of just going through my laptop here, seeing what's on it. Black Panther. Yeah. I'll leave it at the stuff I mentioned.
Okay, solid. Green Lantern. You've been checking that one out because I know you were.
It's funny. I actually again interviewed Sharp and
Grant Morrison
separately.
Oh, that
yeah, that I'm not really into either.
Name drop.
Not really into it.
You know what's funny about that, real quick, Green Lantern? Because I read it this week and I just did not feel up to talking about it because it's so, I don't want to say dense, but it's a mixture of.
I don't know. I'm not versed in my DC lore, so
right.
A lot of it's just like going over my head, and at that point, it's like whatever.
Right.
And plus, it's Morrison, so
right.
You haven't really read any of Morrison's stuff either, so.
Well, I mean, going back to like Morrison's, Batman and Morrison's X-Men runs and some of the other, like, like the Vertigo stuff or whatever. But my biggest problem with the Green Lantern stuff right now is that it's half muddled because some of Sharp's art gets a little tough to read, and the storyline as well. It's a little, I don't know if it's going to read better in a trade, but I'm having some trouble like kind of following it from page to page sometimes. So
Gotcha.
we'll see. But yeah, I was hesitant to talk about it because I really wasn't comfortable bringing up, where we are, bringing us up to speed on where we are in the story. Like, I can't believe I could talk about freaking Tony Stark Iron Man with this Escape business, that's taking forever. But but it's, that is at least 8 issues in. We're only what, 4 issues in on Green Lantern, and it's still kind of tough sledding.
Gotcha. Okay. I think that might have been enough time for me to figure out what I was going to do for Click of the Week. So, if we're ready for that.
Clicks of the Week!
Plus, hey, and don't tell me when the next time we're going to get Tim on, so I had to know. Even though we have a whole back channel, we could ask him stuff, but still.
Yeah, better get on the show.
Yeah, exactly. So, Clicks of the Week time, folks. I guess, Tim, you got yours already?
I mean, it's going to have to be Justice League. That's the only thing I read.
And I'm not sure which one this is because Dirt said the other non-Tom King Batman from this week. And I'm like, what was that one? Because I only saw
regular
one book.
Batman, because it's Josh Williamson. Remember I said this was an interlude by Josh Williamson.
Oh, I thought that was okay. I'm sorry.
The other non-Tom King book, he would normally be Detective, but it wasn't out this week.
Right, that's what I was thinking. I was like, well, wait, Detective was not even out. So what? Okay, so Batman 64 for Dirt. Yep. You got yours, or you need a minute?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Immortal Hulk number 13.
Nice choice.
I mean, honestly, Uncanny X-Men, just because of the way it's kind of laid out, was really good, but it was depressing. So Immortal Hulk number 13 it is.
Gotcha. And for myself, I think I settled on Young Justice number 2 because it was actually a nice, fun read. I mean, that Star Wars 61 was pretty good too, but I think that's what I'm going with. And with that, before we get into the ad reads, I know you're sticking around for a minute, Tim, or you're bouncing.
I'm gonna bounce.
Okay.
But thank you for having me on.
And man, this is your show. You can come back anytime you can.
It's episode 300.
Exactly. There's that also.
It was fun.
So we appreciate you being.
And I just like I want to make a point that before the show, Doug was PC and Dirt was talking about how it's almost like 4 degrees where he's at, and I was like, oh, it's 80 degrees here.
Yeah.
Chisholm was through a text. The tone might have came across as me being happy, but it's actually me being annoyed because it's January and it's 80. And then I look at my phone and Google's tell me temperature for tomorrow is 59. The high will be 59, which is 23 degrees colder than it was today, which is why I'm pissed off because I knew temperature would just drop again. That's how people get colds and the flu and every other crazy thing.
Hey, stay moderated, man. That's all you can do.
Yep.
Plus, and keep the kid away from other kids.
Yeah. My niece was actually my brother who did the intro, and his family were actually going to come Sunday, but back before the show, he texted me to say that his I guess grandchild is sick and they won't be able to make it.
So that'll help.
Rearrange, reschedule for another time because they don't want to bring her around. Xavier being sick. So.
Yep.
Good call.
Yep. Still a little on the young side, pre-shots and all that stuff. So.
Yeah. And you don't want that smoke at this point.
For real.
But enjoy the rest of the show. Get your news on people and listen to those ads that pay for things behind the scenes. And I will talk with y'all later.
Indeed, and like we said, look out for tomorrow with Tim's interview with Scott Snyder.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, we'll holla.
Holla, holla.
Take it easy.
Peace.
Peace. All right.
Ad read time.
Ad read time. Ad read time. Our first ad of the night is for Busted Tees. This episode of the Comic Book Chronicles is sponsored by Busted Tees, your home for funny, awesome, cool t-shirts that are sure to get your friends' attention. Busted Tees puts many of their popular shirt designs on sale each week. Choose from several eye-catching t-shirts inspired by pop culture, movies, video games, TV shows, comic books, and much more are on sale. To help keep our podcast free, order from Busted Tees by going to cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcasts free link. Click on the Busted Tees banner and then shop for awesome t-shirts. Busted Tees through cspn.us. Do it today.
And I just realized I did not put out the tweet for this show until just now. So that's awesome.
Oh,
and I forgot to say that
catch up.
Yeah, and I forgot to say Tim was on it. So and that was double fail. But anyway, we will move on to the news.
Do. All right. First up,
cinematic news, like we always do around this time. Oh shoot, that's what we forgot to ask Tim about. We should have asked him about the dang it before we got him off here. But
what's fine.
That? Stuff coming up in the news. The trailer stuff. To which, oh Jesus, where am I? Stall. Young Justice Outsiders finale sets up classic Teen Titans story. I don't know. Yeah, so wait. So I guess this actually would be the question to ask you at this point is how far in on Young Justice are you, or did you skip to season 3?
I haven't started. This is because as I mentioned earlier, I watched a couple of the new movies that came out, like the Reign of the Supermen. So this is definitely on my list of because I did not watch much of the original Young Justice when it was on what was it, Cartoon Network?
Yes, I believe so.
So I did not watch much of that, so I'm going to have to catch up a little bit. But I did see this particular story, and it's kind of funny that they would introduce into Young Justice this particular new Teen Titans storyline.
Yeah, I don't know. He probably sounds logged off, but I figured I'd ask anyway. Yeah,
right, and the storyline I'm referring to is the Judas contract. Yes,
which that is what they seem to be setting up, which is kind of a spoiler for me because I haven't gotten that point yet. But nevertheless, whatever, I'm gonna get there.
Right. I mean, it's kind of hard to spoil a comic story that's 30 years old, but
well, yeah, but the fact that it's being played out the fact that it's being played out in this new retelling of,
sure. I mean, if you didn't watch
that wasn't then.
I was about to say, if you didn't watch Teen Titans Go only about 5 years ago, right?
Wait, did they do?
They did.
Really?
Yep.
I must have missed that episode. Or those episodes. I said I must have missed those episodes.
Yeah, it's on whatchamacallit.
I don't have Hulu anymore.
No, DC Universe.
Oh, that's right. Did they put Teen Titans Go on?
Yes.
Yeah, I missed that too.
It's there.
Huh.
It's there. So if you want to catch up and see their rendition of the Judas contract, it's there for the watching.
Which I'm kind of surprised because I thought you were one of the ones that didn't like Teen Titans Go.
Because I may have expressed this on the show. It at least covers the characters as I knew them. The team composition as I knew it.
Sure.
You know, minus Kid Flash.
Right.
You know, other than Kid Flash and actually Wonder Girl.
Actually, and they do have actual Teen Titans on there now that I think about it. So
right. Other than Wonder Girl and Kid Flash not being on Teen Titans Go, it was still, you know, more than enough of a callback to the OG Wolfman Perez run. That you know, it was quality stuff because obviously they focused on the characters that were really being introduced in that book, which were Raven and Starfire.
Right.
You know, those are and Cyborg. You know, those are the ones that had zero backstory. Those were the new characters being introduced. You know, we already knew about Robin, and we already knew, and this was Dick Grayson Robin, and we already knew about at least a little bit about Beast Boy if you had read any Doom Patrol.
Right. Have you seen the movie?
No, not yet. And I was disappointed that it's not on the DC Universe app.
Yeah, well, it's kind of not a surprise, but I'm pretty sure it'll be on there at some point, though.
Right.
Because I think it came out before they decided to, you know, go in on that. So that's why Reign of Superman is on there now. But in any case, it should be worth noting that this is a mid-season finale, if I'm not mistaken, and not the season finale.
Okay.
That is bringing this on. So I'm assuming going into the latter half of the season, this is when this storyline is going to play out. So I'll be looking forward to catching up on that. Like I said, I decided to do a full rewatch instead of just skipping to season 3.
No, it's definitely worth. I think it's definitely worth it if you need to catch up. Yeah.
Well, and I've done a rewatch as recently as probably like a year and a half ago, but I still want to just do a fresh run.
Oh, okay. I was about to say I've never watched it, so you know, at least the bulk of it, so it's worth it for me.
Yeah. Or at least, let me see. No, it might have been a little bit longer than that, because I know they started doing season 3. The hubbub for season 3 stuff started really going right like last year.
Okay.
So it's probably been like good 2.5 years. Regardless, I've done a rewatch, and so. Anyway, speaking of Young Justice Outsiders, Young Justice Outsiders may give us the Lobo story we never wanted. I don't know what story that is, but nevertheless, it says in episode 11, another freak. Apparently, I guess Lobo showed up and lost a digit, and now it's showing up again. Weird. Okay.
Alrighty. So next up, I'll take the next one. I'll spare you having to do too many of these Young Justice ones. So apparently Young Justice Outsiders makes drastic changes to 2 DC heroes. I'm not going to read too much into this because I haven't watched it yet.
Well, actually, you kind of talked about one. You mentioned one of them being Cyborg. And the other one being Halo. I'm not sure who that is, but
the Outsiders.
Right. So according to what the article says, and last week we did talk about the way the character looks, because they basically redid the character a little different for Young Justice Outsiders. So that's probably going into this as well.
Okay.
So yeah. Next up.
Oh, I apologize. I was talking about Teen Titans Go. We're thinking that was the Teen Titans cartoon. I was referring to the Teen Titans cartoon that was on Cartoon Network. I was about to say, my apologies. Teen Titans Go was the movie, right?
Well, Teen Titans Go has a movie, yes, but there was a show, but it's more of a cartoon. There's more of a comedic version of.
But that was the one that was more like shorts, right?
Well, yes.
Right. So no, my apologies. I was referring to the actual Teen Titans cartoon.
Right. And they did definitely do
Robin running around yelling "Ha!" But you know, that's what I was referring to. My apologies.
And that's why so that's why I was saying, I was like, Teen Titans Go was like, I know what that was. I'm just kind of surprised they actually did that. And now that that's clarified, yes, the previous version, the actual Teen Titans version that more people quote unquote like. And don't like Teen Titans Go because of the comedic nature of it, the side of that,
right?
But, which I don't. it's fine. The show's fine. Yeah, but I was kind of surprised that they would have put that on there. Just
oh
right
no,
now.
yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah. Not now. Now that the confusion's cleared up, I understand now why you're a little, that's definitely not the correct atmosphere or mood to put kind of one of the biggest storylines that people remember,
Right.
into. So
Okay.
Alrighty, next up,
Right along. Meg DeLacy and Jake Austin Walker, not to be confused with Waypoint's own Austin Walker, which I said on Twitter, which crickets joins the not crickets because people out there, some people out there know who that is if you follow video games. But regardless, join the cast of Stargirl. This dude looks like Archie though, or at the very least the CW version of Archie. So let's see. It says Meg DeLacy from The Fosters will be playing Cindy Berman, who eventually becomes the villain Shiv, and Jake Austin Walker from Fear the Walking Dead and Rectify is also joining the cast, but we don't know who he's playing.
Okay.
It says likely it might be a villain, but who's to say? Next.
All right, so.
Oops.
Not technically completely comic book related, but it seems like they are moving themselves in that direction.
Hey, look, that whole series is a comic book at this point.
Hobbs and Shaw trailer that debuted during the Super Bowl is here, and Roddy Cat is totally digging it. I am still
no, that was actually the not that wasn't I am digging it, yes, but that was the headline from
oh, okay, this is Roddy walking that back a little. And,
no, I mean no like
I'm kidding I'm teasing because I'm obviously going to be at least a little bit critical of it because hashtag justice for Han. Basically this trailer drops that has it's really well done. It's done to the tune of Why Can't We Be Friends? And it really showcases the two stars, and it also reveals that Idris Elba's character is going to be
he's basically playing the same character he played in Star Trek and the last Star Trek movie, not Into Darkness. He's basically playing a version of that character who was a similarly enhanced human being. Well, yeah, basically enhanced human being.
Wait, wasn't that the Star Trek movie that Justin Lin did with the motorcycle?
Yes.
No,
wait,
isn't it?
Was it that one? I think it was that one. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, and Sabotage played when they went to.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
I believe it is the same one. Yes, because Idris Elba was the big bad guy of that one.
It's Star Trek Beyond.
Yes.
And he was Crawl.
Yes. Oh. And like I said, he played pretty much a similar villain. Seems like in that from this. So that ought to be interesting. So okay, so a little behind the scenes, and I didn't tell the other guys this. This was the other way I was going to start off the show, because if you follow my Twitter, I had said as recently as yesterday that the Fast and Furious franchise and the XXX franchise share I postulate that they share a universe, and I also add the fact that the Transporter, which is another franchise starring Jason Statham, is also in that universe, because Shaw is basically playing Frank Martin, who is the Transporter. Because if you think about Fast and the Furious, he only came back. He was a ghost until his brother got hurt. And this is going way off the topic because none of this is comic books, but whatever.
I was about to say this is the stuff of a Treasury edition.
This is definitely probably that. Because man, I have thoughts. But anyway, he's Frank Martin. Now wait till I tell you how XXX and Fast and the Furious is connected to the Marvel universe. Aha. Which that's not hard to do, because if you think about who shows up in those movies. And a movie that is coming out that could possibly be the link to that. But anyway, regardless, Hobbs and Shaw, that is a movie that is coming out with The Rock and Jason Statham. and it's Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. Which, if they haven't done any Calvin and Hobbes type cartoons of them two together, I don't know what's wrong with people on the internet. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, so you've seen this. You've seen this.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Listen, it's other than my misgivings about why this story is even happening.
Yes.
It's really entertaining. The characters really play. Like the way the characters are. If Shaw wasn't introduced the way he was introduced, I could definitely understand. Like the
in 7.
Yeah, exactly. I can understand how this relationship could develop, but the way his character was introduced.
But I could have sworn they did something like that in 8, though. I haven't watched 8 yet, so I feel like some plan to.
Oh, they reformed, right? They kind of reformed the character in 8. That's where that comes from, and that's why 8 was a pretty weak entry into the franchise.
And therefore, the spinoff came from this.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, it's a weird one. I almost put that other trailer that I linked to you, but I didn't. So.
Right. Listen, I would love, I know Tim Dog and I did, because you hadn't caught up on the Fast and Furious
at that time. Correct. Yeah, y'all did 7.
Exactly. We did a treasury edition on 7. So I'd be curious to hear his thoughts, if he's up to date. It might be a bit of a reach to have him watch Hobbs and Shaw, and we'll do a treasury edition after that. And my hope is that you'll be caught up on it too, because you haven't watched 8 yet.
Yeah, probably. Because if I plan to go see Hobbs and Shaw, then I will definitely catch up on 8 real quick.
Right. So ultimately, it might be worth it for us to do a treasury edition to bring us up to speed, no pun intended, on the Fast and Furious franchise.
Yes. And talk about theories into other franchises, which are clearly there.
Which Roddy Cat won't let go. But okay.
I'm just saying, it's there. It is right there. It is plain on the noses of their faces. Anyway, let us continue with the news. And we don't know when that movie's coming out, actually, do we?
This is Roddy Cat to me.
You can't handle the truth.
Or someone say, it doesn't matter if they're related. If they're in the same. It doesn't matter. Exactly. But anyway, if you haven't seen the trailer for Hobbs and Shaw, which debuted during the Super Bowl, along with a couple of others we're about to talk about, you should go check it out especially if you're a fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. Next up,
you got this one.
Yep. Speaking of trailers that dropped during the Super Bowl, Avengers Endgame Super Bowl trailer drops with all new footage. It was a teaser trailer, and it sounds like they may have digitally. There was a longer.
Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, it sounds like from what I saw from another story that they may have digitally taken out a character from a scene that did drop.
Right, because there was a conspicuous vacancy in the character spacing.
Right.
On the screen, and that's where a lot of people were postulating, there was another character that had been removed. And it wouldn't be the first time, because I did see people noting that in the first Infinity War trailer, they had digitally removed Infinity Stones or gems from the gauntlet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like in the scene where he's pushing down against Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and watch the Infinity War trailer, they're not there.
Weird.
Right. So like that's to avoid spoiling where that scene falls in the chronology of the movie.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So speaking of these movies and adding in a bit about how long they are, right. Avengers Endgame may actually include an intermission between the first and the second halves of the movie.
How long is this movie going to be?
They're talking about 3 hours.
Yeah, no, I heard pushing 3 hours plus, which that's not enough for an intermission. You can do 3 hours. Well, some people can.
Yeah, I was about to say some people can, some people can't. Apparently, there's a story. I don't know if you have it here that test screenings have been going on, and
yeah, I don't have it, but yeah,
people have not been getting up to go to the bathroom in many of them.
Right.
So there's thoughts. There's real thought to giving to putting in an intermission. And I have a I can't remember, was it Civil War, where a friend of mine, she didn't quite plan ahead, and Civil War is pretty long.
Yes.
And there was no pee-pee dancing, but we were getting close.
And you said you haven't seen Teen Titans Go.
No, I'm making those jokes. So yeah, but I texted her with a note about this, and she got a kick out of it because it was pretty funny.
Right. So we'll see if they actually do that. And I know, well, I mean, let's face it, regardless, I've seen people getting up. I'm like, and I kind of be like, what are you doing? This movie's still okay. You gotta go.
Yeah, you gotta go. Exactly.
So, but yeah, so it promises to be long, which going back to the whole, hey, they promised. No, let's not go back on that again, because the whole thing leading up to Infinity War, hey, it was supposed to be one long movie. Hey, it's supposed to be a two-parter, which it still is a two-parter, and yada yada yada, all that kind of whatever. Just bring the damn movie. That's all I want at this point.
You know what's funny? What's funny is that we've gotten to the point where there were a lot of jokes going into Infinity War where Marvel and the MCU has become so effective and so successful that they don't care if they're going to assume that you're on board already. They're not going to introduce any of these characters. They're just going to jump right into the story. So we have gotten to the point where everyone understands where we are, and now peeing or not to peeing, this is not the question that anyone wants to ask. They just want Endgame. They just want to know what's going to happen. So it's not forget to pee or not to pee.
Right. And I don't have the drum roll sound effect, but that's fine. Doesn't work.
Which drum roll? Which drum roll? Do you want this?
Rim shot.
Oh, you want this one?
Sure. Which I totally just blanked on what I wanted it for in the first place. But regardless, you know what? Hey, it's coming. We'll see it in a month or two.
Was it to pee or not to pee?
Yes. There you go. That is the question. Yes, but not. All right. Next up. So this next one I didn't put is not in the. I'll do this one real quick before you do the next one.
Okay.
The actual next one. Because I just saw this. Oreo the raccoon, real life Guardians inspiration for Rocket, passed away. So this is apparently the raccoon that was the inspiration for the cinematic version of Rocket the Raccoon in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie.
Right, the look of the particular digital look of the cartoon.
Yes.
Of Rocket Raccoon, actually.
Yes. So it says here, Oreo passed away peacefully after a short illness. AKA he got run over in a road. I'm just kidding.
Oh no!
I'm kidding. And apparently, whoever this is, someone eulogized him. I think
it's someone in the animators in the animators studio.
Apparently, apparently he was wait, Mr. Oreo Raccoon, as he was called on set, was a pretty amazing animal who had many talents. Really? Okay. He was a lot more than just the guy that Rocket stole all of his moves from. You can read a portion of the statement. Oh, wait a minute. I vaguely remember this. So apparently that raccoon was on the red carpet when Guardians of the Galaxy came out.
Yeah, there's pictures of him. Right, there's pictures of him on James Gunn's shoulders.
And I totally forgot about that. Okay, so yeah. Well, now
rest in peace, Oreo.
Yes, and James Gunn's no, stop. Let me not. I'm not even gonna go nowhere with that. Speaking of, actually, we got something coming up on that, so you can take this next one before we get to it, I think.
Right. So, also during the Super Bowl, a new Captain Marvel TV spot premiered, and it wants to take us all higher, further, and faster.
Take higher. So I had a certain, so as we know, which I don't know too many people or too many articles have mentioned this. So the higher, further, faster was the tagline of if I'm not mistaken, the first trade edition of Captain Comic run on Captain Marvel, and it was also prominently brought up, during the course of the arc. And I don't know, you get a certain reading, you get a certain sense reading on the page of how that line goes and how they did it in the in this commercial from Brie Larson and whatever. I don't know, it's just kind of weird.
Well, the vibe that you want to get from that, and the vibe I got is, I have the need.
Right.
So the need for speed for you youngins out there.
Yeah, Dave, who probably still don't know what he's talking about.
God. So, and you are correct. This is from that first, volume of the of that volume of Captain Marvel. So.
And I mentioned that because not many other places have, and yet they I don't know, but they bring it up, but they never mention that fact. Mm-hmm. But this article does, so thankfully. Which is, I mean, it may or may not be a big deal for some people, but I was like, hey, you might as well give credit where it's due. But regardless, it's another, we get a little bit more of the movie. We may again get to see the tie of the Fast and Furious franchise to Triple X and the Marvel Universe out of this, but hey, we will see when the movie drops.
That's not that far away.
No, it is not. March 8th, and I do not have my tickets yet.
Got mine.
So
shout out to friends who look out for a brother. Seriously, they got it for me. I was like, cool.
Yeah, they know. So y'all rolling deep, I take it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Cool. I'll be rolling solo.
Oh, it's okay. Sometimes sometimes it's better that way.
Because I need friends. No, I'm kidding.
Why can't we be friends?
No. And I already bring it back to that. Exactly. But next up, I guess, wait, was it you or me?
I did Captain Marvel.
Okay. Thor Ragnarok director says no to Guardians 3. That's James's film. So
Taika Waititi.
Yeah, really. So Taika Waititi was interviewed recently for the Television Critics Association press tour, and he basically says, and I quote, when he was asked if he was doing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, he says, "Nope, not doing that movie. I'm hanging out with Marvel still, talking about new stuff, but I don't know what that might be yet. I want to do another movie." He's also doing The Mandalorian for Star Wars, so that's still in the family. He also says he said he didn't want to meet with Marvel about doing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. He also said, I really didn't. For me, that's James's film. Going into something like that, which has a stamp all over it, it would feel like going into someone's house and saying, "Hey, I'm your new dad," which I feel like you read that in the voice he did for Korg, yeah. In Ragnarok, that's pretty much how I read it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, like you said, good on him for that.
Alrighty, next up, Legion will come to an end after 3 seasons. So we're talking about the FX TV show. Mm-hmm. It was confirmed at the same Television Critics Association press tour that Legion's 3rd and final season is going to debut in June of 2019, and there's going to be new characters being introduced.
Okay.
We'll see. I don't know if you have a story on it, but there's a news. Actually, no, I don't see it. No. There's news that Professor Xavier is going to make an appearance. And
well, we've talked about that before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it had come up before yet. So.
Yeah, it has, but I'm not sure if there was. I don't remember if there was any actual of who it's going to be or something like that. So unless that's some fairly new news or something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we definitely have talked about that happening. I have not watched any of that show, so okay.
That's going to be a binge watch if it's worth it later on.
I guess I would have to get Hulu again to do that, but
it might come up on Netflix. You never know.
Yeah, I kind of doubt it, but if it does, yeah, sure. But moving right along, these Star Wars shorts are making a mighty fine case for animated versions of the films. So the Galaxy
look really good.
Yeah, they do. The Galaxy of Adventures series of shorts, which have been playing, which I think just started not too long ago, for Star Wars Kids channel on YouTube, which so you can go out there and go check out some of that right now. They basically kind of replay scenes of the movie, almost Clone Wars style, I would want to say, but I haven't watched. I need to watch these though, because I have heard good things. Apparently, they did Rogue One.
Okay.
And including all of the killing. Oh, it's interesting that they did it. And if you see on the screen, they did the fight between Yoda and Count Dooku from episode 2.
Right.
So, which, hey, that's a fight I would watch live action or not. But yeah, like I said, the stuff is out. Go check it out. I have heard good things from it, but I just hadn't watched anything. The Luke Vader fight is also up, so I think they have done all the prequels.
Cool.
Ooh, I just found some news about something else.
Alrighty.
But that's a whole situation. For
I was about to say, are you the
time,
one that's actually in New York City?
I am not.
Only because I heard sirens in the background.
Yeah, every now and then there's usually there's one that there's. This is not a sleepy town, but there's.
I was about to say, I'm like
the road behind me gets traveled, so usually every now and then gets
I was about to say that's usually my my area of unintended sound effects on the show.
I know, right?
Especially during the summertime when the windows, or the springtime when the windows are open. All right, next
clips a lot. So
yeah. So next up, spoiler alert. Star Trek Discovery just explained why the original series Klingon ships look so different from from how they looked in the future series.
Well, so Discovery takes place 10 years before TOS. So apparently a recent episode it basically says why the ships are different from what shows up there. Okay. And I hear does it, and I think they sound from what this article says, which again I haven't watched Discovery, but I need to go ahead and get that out of the way real soon. There's a pretty decent explanation as to why, without going further.
All right.
Next up, speaking of Star Trek, Temporal Anomaly is a Star Trek fan film half a decade in the making. So there's been a lot of these fan films, or some of these fan films, but apparently this one called Temporal Anomaly, I don't know why I'm having trouble with that word right now, was pitched and kickstarted back in 2013. Let's see, it's a half an hour long. It sets in a nexus of time, so which means that the past and the future seems like they could collide in some kind of way. And it's out there on YouTube if you want to go check it out. The stills look pretty good. I don't know if those are stills actually from it or from a Star Trek show, but hey, sure, go check it out if you like Star Trek fan films. You may have already. So next up.
All right, next up, apparently Whoopi Goldberg has let it be known that she petitioned the BBC to cast her as the first female Doctor long before Jodie Whittaker was given the role.
Weirdly enough, slightly Star Trek related, being that Whoopi Goldberg, yes, being a big Star Trek nerd and big Doctor Who nerd apparently, or a fan, both, So did not know about this. So apparently this is a recent revelation, and they said no, probably for reasons that if you look at her, probably why. So anyway, that being the case, that being said, hey, that was the thing that happened, and she still wants to be on the show in some capacity, which I think that sounds like what got her on Star Trek. So I don't know if they're going to do it or not, but hey, it is what it is.
Alrighty, so we're going to transition now into...
We are. Comic book news.
Yep, comic book news. So let's see. First up, Benjamin Percy and Juan Ferreira are working on a Moon Knight book.
Yes.
Actually, no, it's a Moon Knight story for April
Right.
24th. Marvel Comics Presents #4 anthology series.
And every time I see Marvel Comics Presents, I think about that old Disney Channel show, Donald Duck Presents. La da 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 la la. Anywho, so yeah, the April 24th story of April 24th, Marvel Comics Presents #4 anthology, which I think the first issue came out what 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, something like that. None of us talked about it. And I brought that up just to say that, hey, it's the thing that's just started. So, but anyway, there's going to be a Moon Knight story coming up in that thing, along with some other stuff. So, apparently, Wolverine must be because from what I've seen from that first issue, and from what I've seen in the solicits to this, there's a Wolverine story, which I guess it must be which be a through line, and then there's just other stories on the side. So, which means more Wolverine, yay. Anywho, Marvel's Star Wars finally ends the most powerful Jedi argument. So this is a spoiler, quote unquote, from a book that came out last week that we didn't talk about.
Right.
Star Wars Age of Republic Special #1, which had a couple different stories in it. But basically, I want to say the most powerful Jedi, which apparently came up in this book, I still hadn't read it yet, is the person you think it was, even though they died. Well, actually, I take it back. I take it back, and it's not, because some people think it's Luke. And some people think it's Luke. Some people think it's Anakin.
So a lot of people thought it was Yoda.
And that would be where my thought would have been.
Yep. But it's not. It's the one who had bad mother. Shut your mouth.
And the worst death.
Yeah, that was
alert.
Whack. Oh,
which, I'm like, really?
Whack, wacky, whack.
Yes. To which we have seen, and we're of course talking about the one and only Mace Windu, who has had some good turns, in the animated sense, and his. Actually, did he? I don't recall. See, there was Attack of the Clones. I think he was in that fight, and I'm not sure if there was any other fights he was in.
Yeah, I mean, he's never gonna, he's gonna tell you to just not say what one more time. So,
I know you got one more in you, so we might as well go ahead and get it out while we're on this.
No, I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay, just saying.
I mean, he might be holding up a McDowell's.
No. Oh no!
Oh no! He's got such a filmography. You could dive into any one of these.
That's true. There's including XXX and Captain Marvel.
I mean, he's redoing Shaft. There's a new Shaft.
Yes. Oh yes, I saw that. Yes, I saw that. I didn't see the first one that he did. Just to go off topic a little bit. I didn't see that first one he did, and I don't know if it was as comedic as this one as it's seeming to be.
It was pretty comedic.
Okay, I don't know. I hadn't seen it, but the fact that they got Richard Roundtree to come back for it, that's pretty awesome. And I don't know who that other dude is. So, yeah, that too.
Like it's great that they can, basically, without spoiling too much, but it's already in the freaking trailers, people. Like multiple generations. So.
Well, that last one needs some bake. That needs a little bit of baking, but yes.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere. Actually, weird enough. And this will kind of come up later on, but I was kind of wondering what David F. Walker thought about the trailer, if he's seen it yet. I probably should have asked, but David F. Walker wrote a Shaft book, which is, I think, maybe now I don't know about most people, but some people have, got note of, most notably me. But anyway, yeah,
All
that's like completely outside of what we're talking
Yeah,
about
right.
now.
I apologize. I took us down a road with
That's fine.
with
It's
a
fine.
couple of well placed.
Actually, I probably, now that I think about it, that Chef did have that comic book, which I just talked about. I could have rightly put that in the cinematic news. But regardless, we talked about it anyway, so it doesn't matter. Next up, dynamic and deadly. I don't know what I got it. Free Comic Book Day, Avengers #1 follows Endgame, which I think we probably mentioned this a little because this is what Tim might have been alluding to earlier, or at least one of the books. He was also talking about the Venom book, the Venom part of that. Which, if you know Free Comic Book Day, there's usually two sides to that, and there's like so I'm assuming that the Venom is going to be the B side of this the Avengers one, unless they're doing two separate books, which sometimes they'll do, sometimes we don't. But yeah, according to this, the contents of the story hadn't been revealed, but Marvel's press release spiritually ties the one shot to Avengers Endgame, which hits theater. Excuse me. Thank you. Which hits theaters a week before Free Comic Books Day, saying Aaron and Deodato's story will introduce a deadly and dynamic and deadly team of Avengers. Again, that might have been what Tim was alluding to earlier. So, Free Comic Book Day, May 4th, coming up.
Alrighty. Next up.
I wonder if that's why they I just thought about that. I wonder if that's why they moved Endgame.
What, to make it coincide?
To get out of the way of Free Comic. That seems kind of silly, but to get out of the way of Free Comic Book Day.
No, they usually try to tie it in.
Well, I mean, they are.
Like
still,
same weekend.
I don't recall, but regardless, it is what it is.
Usually same weekend, but now it's what, a week ahead,
It's a week prior, yeah.
Exactly. So, giving it more room to breathe, maybe.
Who knows?
All right. So I was about to say the yawn indicates that we should be moving along quicker.
No, the yawn indicates that I didn't get any sleep tonight, but that's a whole nother story.
So speaking of yawn-inducing, Deadpool.
That could be that also.
Rob Liefeld announced his final story, quote unquote, starring the Merc with the Mouth. So apparently, Rob Liefeld has confirmed that Deadpool Badder Blood will be his final story featuring the Merc with the Mouth. 2017, he did Deadpool Bad Blood, and Liefeld is describing this as his last story, last dance with Wade Wilson. Rob Liefeld is pretty young. You can't say never.
I mean,
when you're that young.
How young is he? Okay.
Point is.
Okay.
The point is, he's still going to be around, so it's kind of hard to say it's my last story. Because when the rent comes due, he's 51 years old.
He's not that, okay.
Yeah, he's not that old. He's also not that young.
Right.
Point is, there's still, many years of productivity left and many years of possibly needing to pay the rent.
Well, I mean, yeah, but he has other stuff he can pay the rent. Well, hopefully he has other stuff he can pay the rent with. But that being said, though, there is no shortage of Deadpool stuff at all anyway. Like, I think he's got, 3 books?
Right now?
At least 3 books? Yeah, because there's Spider-Man Deadpool, there's Deadpool, and then there's the Black Panther Deadpool miniseries.
Yeah, that's 3. That's what I was thinking of. I wasn't sure about 4.
I don't know if there was a 4th. Yeah, regardless, there's 3 too many books. But so, there's enough. So whatever. If it's the last one from the guy who made them, hey, so be it. There still won't. The point is, there still will be a glut of Deadpool stories books. What's coming to Marvel Unlimited in February 2019? The answer: a lot of books.
Okay.
Next up,
in a preview, Firefly Legacy Edition Book 2 softcover is going to be published.
Yes.
And it's collecting all previously released Serenity comics.
Yeah, so it's Leaves on the Wind
format.
Right. So it's Leaves on the Wind, I think, which was the last mini from last year or something like that around New Comic Book Day. And 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 2016. So Leaves on the Wind, The Worry in the Wind from Dark Horse Free Comic Book Day, and No Power in the Verse number 1 through 6, which is all those stuff. So if you're a Firefly fan, and I know some of you are, you can go check that out. And in other preview news, which a book we've already talked about, Gunhawks number 1, you can go check out a preview of that book. Also, like I said, we just discussed it earlier. So really not much else to say. Next
up.
I believe that's you.
Wait. So you did the Gunhawks one?
Yes.
Okay. Jim Lee takes Aquaman's Black Manta and brings him back to the page. So this was actually a Twitch sketch.
Yes.
And I actually watched it. So Jim Lee did on his semi-regular Twitch sketching.
I should follow that page.
Yeah, Twitch sketching stream. He does a couple of sketches usually, and this particular one was of Aquaman's faux Black Manta.
Mm-hmm.
It's an adaptation of the movie design. It's not spot on because it is a quick sketch,
right?
But it's
more rough and tumble, more hardier one.
It's more right. It's more of a.
Or as he says here, tactical.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a quick sketch, but it's more of like you said, was it tactical?
Yes,
it's a tactical adaptation of the comic book design.
Yep. So, but yeah, if you haven't checked out Jim Lee's Twitch page, and there's a couple of there's a few other artists actually doing Twitch pages. I know I was following Chris Visions, and he had one, but he doesn't really do as much. But you should go check him out. If you one of your favorite artists might be on Twitch doing sketches or something like that, which is cool. Next up, the secrets of DC Rebirth may be unveiled by this forgotten 80s hero, which was a spoiler for a couple of weeks ago's Justice League. We may or may not have talked about this in depth. We may not even mention this. Might not even have mentioned this person. Now that I think about it, but basically it revolves around Starman.
I thought we did.
We might have. I don't know. Or a version of Starman. Let's put it that way. And since I'm not up on Justice League, I have no clue what the heck they're talking about.
Yeah, I thought we did.
We might have mentioned some of it, but not in great length.
No, but it wasn't the issue previous to this, but it was when he appeared. There's a point where he appears and says, we have to do XYZ to fix things. So he does play a semi-prominent role in the last few issues prior to this week's issue.
Wait, and this was issue 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was last issue. So yeah, there's things on that, so you can go check that out from that article. We kind of already talked about this.
Scott's.
Well, actually, we didn't, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was about to say Scott Snyder shares art from Justice League's upcoming Showdown on Mars. That was this week's issue between the Martian Manhunter and one Lex Luthor, who used to have red hair, and I conveniently forgot. I did.
And I will go ahead and reiterate one more time, and probably will at the end of the show, that you can go check out Tim's. Did you write this? No, he didn't. Tim's article talking with Scott Snyder tomorrow-ish at the time of this recording. It might be out by the time you hear this.
I still get a kick out of him just name dropping.
Hey, do it if you got it.
Just
Oh yeah, that was a War of the Room. I hope I got it in here because that was some silly stuff. Anyway, next up,
Chris. Speaking of whatchamacallit, speaking of the exclusivity war, the exclusives war that at one point was all the rage. Artists and writers, creators, jumping from company to company depending on who offered the best exclusive deal. Chris Anka is jumping to DC and reuniting with Bendis, but the thing here is that he's going to continue doing covers on Runaways. He was doing Runaways,
right? I thought he was doing insides on Runaways also, though.
He was doing interiors on Runaways, but he's going to continue, according to I believe his Twitter account, or it could be this article that I definitely read. He is intending to continue to do cover art for Runaways.
Oh yeah, so in December, Anka confirms Runaways 18 will be his last issue on interiors, but plan to continue drawing covers.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing Young Justice #5 cover. So hey, good on Chris. He's a good artist. So did you see? Speaking of that exclusivity wars type situation, did you see that thread from Casada?
Oh, Twitter. His story about was it Mike Wieringo?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, which actually we will get into that in a little bit.
Cool.
That whole craziness. Next up, DC's new Cosmic Police Force is based on a Batman anti-hero. So I guess it's talking about Justice League Odyssey, and they're talking about Azrael.
Mm-hmm.
Which I need to catch up on Justice League Odyssey because I read the first issue and I was like, oh, this seems interesting, and hadn't gone back yet. So apparently, what was happening in the book, they're basing some stuff off of that nutter. So we shall see what's going on with that. So I won't spoil it for anybody, and plus I don't know.
More spoilers.
I know, right?
So
which is actually one we talked about last week. So this is not as much.
Right. So in Heroes in Crisis, a minor heroes revelation redefines the DC universe. It did.
So apparently, we brought up this person, that being Steel, aka Commander Steel.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't bring.
We didn't confused with John Henry Irons.
Correct. Who is, I guess, retired and gave his mantle up to his daughter, or his daughter or niece, one of the two. I think it's his niece.
What? That's not what Reign of the Superman had. No, I'm kidding.
No, that's
I'm kidding.
You know, I was about to say you are correct. That's true. Dang it, now I'm gonna have to go watch that. But you know what? The reason why I didn't watch that in the first place because I know there was a through line from the Flashpoint stuff through a lot of the DC animated stuff going up into this, and I don't know if that's still holding on to this. And I don't know why I did that, because I know this is kind of still in that vein, but probably doesn't allude to any of that stuff. But regardless, that's a whole nother situation. I just got Dawn of Atlantis, and that was the last one I didn't watch. Why did it have to do with this? Nothing. So regardless, Commander Steel apparently was more, or his page was a little bit more prominent than we all thought.
Mm-hmm.
Which we kind of knew because we've said before about this thing that they wouldn't bring up these people if it wasn't something about it. But we also know he's dead again, and that whole thing was sad. But apparently, according to this article, his page brings up the fact that there was brings up his history and an event that happened after a big event, Infinite Crisis, I guess, and something. Regardless, whatever Heroes in Crisis did to redefine that, it's in this article, and I didn't read a lot of it, even though I read that issue.
Okay. I'm totally gonna try to figure out what the hell they're talking about in this.
Yeah, I kind of skimmed through the article before I put it in. I was like, oh, okay, sure, all right, if you say so. And apparently, Heroes in Crisis was teased. Oh wait, you know what? I'm gonna put that in for next week. We won't bother with that one right now. So next up, what we talked about prior to the show.
Oh. Doomsday Clock number 9 has been rescheduled again.
Again.
So This has been rescheduled from whatever release date it just had to a February 27th release.
No. That was the last reschedule. It is now. Oh wait, no. I'm sorry. You're right. I thought that was because this. Oh yeah, that was the article. That was the thing. So yeah, like you said, it's now being rescheduled to February 27th, which was 5 weeks past the original date.
Right. And allegedly, Doomsday Clock number 10 remains on schedule for a March 27th release. PCN_dirt, $5 that says Doomsday Clock does not finish in 2019.
I would laugh if that would happen. In 2019.
$5.
I don't know if you want to take that bet, but it's at this point it's still kind of a safe-ish one. But
yeah,
because isn't what 11 got pushed also, right? One of because there was two issues that got pushed, and I think this was just one of them. I thought
we shall see.
I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, that the event that won't ever die, almost in a Wolverine type fashion. Anyway, next up, and I can't imagine why anyone would have any problem with this, but Wonder Twins reactivate to take on real world teenage problems. So if you did not know about this book, this is a part of the Wonder Comics imprint. We've talked about this book coming, and apparently, which this should be no surprise to anyone who knows of the writer's work. The writer being Mark Russell, who is a political satirist who also wrote Prez, the last version of Prez, the Flintstones, and that Snagglepuss miniseries from last year. So he does tend to get a little bit political and throw some real life stuff, especially that his from what I recall of that Flintstone ones. There were a lot of real life parallels in that jobby. So apparently, Wonder Twins is going to be similar in that it will, like the title says, take on some real world teenage problems.
The post millennial generation. Oh boy.
Yes. So and I wasn't going to. Well, I probably shouldn't bring it up, but we know someone who apparently has read the preview and said they won't be getting the book. Which
listen, it's not for everybody.
Yeah, that's not. Which
it's not for everybody. Listen, none of us are are post millennials either.
That is also true. I mean, I'm gonna give this book a shot, but knowing full well who wrote it and knowing what they're capable of, I kind of knew that going into there was going to be some, there's some verbal allegories going on in here. So I wasn't surprised. Well, one, I wasn't surprised when they said they weren't going to get the book.
I was about to say, I didn't talk about this book, but I skimmed through the Furies book this week.
Right.
And there is a lot of stuff in there that's very relevant to today's whatchamacallit.
Climate.
Yeah, climate. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Not surprised. But yeah, I was gonna read that book, but I wasn't sure what it was, and plus I'm not really up on the
You don't have to be
world stuff.
You don't have to. Like all you have to know are the Furies, the Dark Side. That's really it.
Sure. Well, but the only ones I knew about were Barter, obviously, and
there's you really don't need to know more than that, really.
Sure.
Well, it's totally something you could jump into. That's my point.
Gotcha. Okay. So moving right along, but yeah, so that's the thing, and this article goes on to have an interview with Mark Russell, who's writing the book.
All right, next up, I heard a rumor. I forget what song, the pop song that had that in it. I was about to say, Roddycat knows more of the words than I do.
Yeah, sadly.
Rocksteady. No, we're not talking about
Rocksteady, baby.
We're not talking about the Warthog from whatchamacallit from
no, we're not
the Rhino. Rocksteady was the Warthog, right?
I don't remember. Yes, he was one of those. Regardless, yeah, teenage. Yeah. He was not the henchman from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
right?
Animated series.
The game studio, right? Yes. Their next Batman game is going to be Arkham Crisis.
rumor has it that their next game is going to be this another, which I could have sworn that they say they weren't going to do any more Batman Arkham games after that last one. So they did 3 of them. They may have done 4 of them, actually. I can't remember, because I know somebody else did another one of the Arkham games that wasn't the main line, but they did the 3 mainline ones. And I could have sworn they said they were going to back off of doing that. And there was also the other rumor that Rocksteady was going to do a Superman. And actually, there's another rumor saying there might be a Justice League one. So it's still rumor. This one probably seems more plausible since this is what they not cut their teeth on, but this is what they're at this point known for amongst other things. And those Batman games were pretty good, but once you played a couple of them, you'd be like, okay, yeah, this is great, but more of this. However you come across on that one. So I'm kind of hoping it's not another Batman game, because again, we've got like 4 or 5 of them, 3 or 4 of them were made by Rocksteady, which are good games, but still, do something else, folks. So yeah, that might be something. Regardless, it's still a rumor at this phase, so we don't know if that's the case. But this is probably a more safer bet than those other 2 rumors I had at this point.
Okay.
Next up, I believe that's me. We talked about, why did I do that? Why on earth did I do that? So we talked about last week that EA had killed a Star Wars project. EA being the publisher of video games, not unlike that Rocksteady one. But anyway, I don't think they did. Actually, they did not do. That was Warner Brothers. Regardless, EA says that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order will come out this fall. So I think, if I remember correctly, I don't know if this is the one. Hold on, let me see and make sure I'm right about this one. So yes, I thought this was the one that Respawn. So well, apparently this is the one that Respawn Entertainment was doing. Respawn Entertainment, formerly Call of Duty developers, now doing Titanfall and that new Apex Legends Battle Royale game that just came out this past week. Apparently that was not the one that got canceled that we talked about last week. And I don't know what the hell. What are you doing, EA? Why? And we do know that there is a Titanfall team that, again, that's doing support on the Apex Legends. So I guess they got 2 teams going at Respawn now, so good for them. And I guess that EA now owns Respawn, which not a big surprise at this point. If you're into video games, everything I just said makes total sense. If not, then roll with it. So that being said, it looks like, here we go. Okay, so the Vancouver Studios project, that was that's right, because it was Visceral Games that got killed and not this one, which was from Respawn. So one game gets killed and another one kind of sticks around, and knowing Respawn's track record, we can kind of get a sense of what that possible Star Wars game is going to be, but we will see in the fall or next year, probably, if it gets pushed. Regardless, it says here that little is known about Fallen Order other than that will be a third-person single-player action game that is considered canon in the Star Wars universe, because most games are not. It will feature an unnamed Jedi character during the events of Episode 3. Speaking of the prequels, Revenge of the Sith. Okay. Moving right along.
Right, so we have the beginning and an ending of a mild controversy.
Okay, so before you go on and say this, but we'll talk about this. So CBR did a clean, for lack of a better word, version of the events of this. While and I very rarely use this, but Bleeding Cool kind of have a much more slightly in depth and a little bit more. I don't know what you want to say. What you want about Bleeding Cool? I rarely use it for a reason, but they have a more play-by-play version of the events of this thing. So now go ahead.
Okay. I kind of like the quickie, the quick and dirty version that CBR put up. So essentially, this creator, independent creator, Mike Miller, not the basketball player, planned to repurpose a cover layout sketch. Right. And it's stupid because all he had to do was say that he was going to do an homage, right? But that's my 2 cents. Ultimately, he wanted to repurpose a cover sketch by the late Mike Wieringo and create a finished cover for his own creator-owned independent comic book, and he put it out on social media. And social media bit back.
More specifically, comic creators who I guess know this dude, and including someone who was, I guess, involved, Coley Hamner, who had some word for this dude, who, by the way, according to some of the comic creators in question, including Coley Hamner, this Mike S. Miller dude is one of those comic skate assholes.
Yeah. So
on a side note,
right? So not the nicest dude in the world. So basically, this is some lameness that he wanted to promote this as the last published Mike Wieringo art, even though.
But it was a rough that was not, and he basically took it upon himself to, as you said, and as CBR's site, the article said, repurpose for his own thing, and people took issue with that, rightfully so.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's not his work.
Exactly, and as a matter of fact, I think it was according to this, according to CBR, it was a rough of a cover that was purchased and published to be purchased and published by Marvel Comics.
Right. So at the end of the day, he could have just done an homage to it, but no. God forbid you try to do it the right way.
No, because this dude's probably trash, and people are calling him out.
Right, and he's trying to make some money off of some dude's name. Ultimately, he lit it on fire, and and relented and did the right thing only at the behest of everyone telling him to do the right thing. So,
I kind of question whether he actually did the right thing, or whether he's actually going to do the right thing. Because assholes like that say that because he kind of relented, yes, but assholes like that would be like, yeah, I'm gonna relent, but I feel like there's an undertone of I'm gonna still do something whatever outside of what he did and burn the thing like a jackass. And the other reason why this is coming up, because like I said, this is kind of there's a couple of different issues, like he's using the work that's not his. Some would say he's dragging a good artist's work in the mud for his own, use. Which, if he had, I wonder what would the legal precedent would be like if he had actually done it. Could Marvel have sued?
Right. Well, I mean, ultimately, he did a couple things that were wrong.
Right.
So it's not just how we're describing it. There's actually a couple more things, as you mentioned in the Bleeding Cool blow by blow, but without giving this too much more air. That's repurposing art is pretty low. It's it's one thing to do an homage. Anyone can do that,
and has.
Anyone can do that, but you can't.
There has been swipes and all that kind of good with left and right.
But. Right. See, that's the thing. Swiping used to be something that you didn't give credit for,
Right.
But once people started to say, do homages and then, drop a note in the signature saying this is done in honor of or after so-and-so.
Exactly. He actually forged Wieringo's name on this thing.
Right. So let's not get things twisted here. This is all wrong in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So anyway, moving
He's
on.
an asshole, and there was even like I said, we don't have to belabor this too much more, but there was some things and that wasn't right. And I hope that dude burns in hell along with the rest of his quote unquote friends. Anywho, Mike Oming finally gets his Dick Tracy title. Oh yeah, by the way, and along with anybody who thinks that person and any of them are remotely even right. That being said, Michael Avon Oming is writing and drawing a new Dick Tracy title for IDW Publishing beginning in April. Titled Dick Tracy Forever. This is a 4-issue series, brings the crime noir cartoonist to a character he has wanted to work on for almost a decade for the first time. There's also another Dick Tracy book. I don't know if it's still running or not. It is worth noting. But but yeah, I know there was I actually meant to check that out. There was a Dick Tracy ongoing that started like last year. But I never did get around to it. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, it's coming up and there's more info on that's coming, but we know Mike Oming's on. So good for them for doing something he wanted to do. And if this is, it says credit Michael. It looks good because it looks like basically like the old cartoon stuff. Like if you go by the, you go by this picture in the article. And I guess I'm assuming that is his cover. So cool beans.
Next up,
Mike
Mignola is returning to Hellboy's beginning for Comics Pro. So there's going to be a new edition of Hellboy Seed of Destruction #1. And it's going to be given out this upcoming weekend, to retailers attending the Comics Pro Comic Industry Conference.
Well, actually, this weekend being the
last weekend?
No, being the 21st through the 23rd in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
So,
alrighty.
I don't know why they said this weekend, because that's like a couple of weeks from now.
Someone wasn't reading their copy, wasn't doing their copy editing.
Maybe. Or maybe something did happen and maybe their dates are wrong. And maybe that it did actually happen. I don't know. It's not worth checking out at this point. But regardless, hey, those who are or have been or will be at that conference whenever it happens, we'll have that. Speaking of Hellboy, Hellboy 25 Years of Covers features over 150 covers. So if you like Hellboy, or I'm assuming the majority of Mike Mignola's art, then this is probably a book for you if you don't already have all those books. So according to this, it says Hellboy 25 Years will feature over 150 covers, including some stuff that I'm not even going to read all of. And the aforementioned Seed of Destruction #1, by the way. There will also be a preface by Mike Mignola and a new introduction by his colorist Dave Stewart, and of course the 150 covers. So cool. Next.
Last up tonight was some recent news that writer David F. Walker has launched his own comic book company called Solid Comics.
Solid.
Shout out to Ashford and Simpson. Solid as a rock.
Oh no, nice. So some people know this, and I think I remember reading this a while back, and again alluding to what I said earlier about some people's exposure to David F. Walker would be his Shaft book from a couple of years back. But
Power Man and Iron Fist.
Well, yeah, but that came before the Shaft book came before he got Power Man and Iron Fist. But yes, that could also be the case. But regardless, so David F. Walker used to publish a zine back in the 90s, where some of the stuff that's going to be brought up in this comic book line originally showed. So, and of course, he's also helping with Naomi at DC, and of course he's doing Bitterroot for Image. And he's also writing Superb. I didn't realize he still was doing that. And he's also teaching. So, and also he's I guess his zine, you might be able to still find some stuff out there, because I remember him mentioning it on Twitter a couple of times. Badass Mofo, because he's real big into obviously black exploitation stuff.
Okay,
which I think is the part of the reason why he got Shaft.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I remember reading about that in the lead up to that Shaft series launching.
It was a good series. I enjoyed it. But so anyway, so with his new company, he's going to self-publish various Creed-owned limited series and OGNs, beginning with the 5-issue wrestling series, One Fall, for all you wrestling fans out there. So, yay. I'm not a big wrestling fan, so I don't really care that much. So One Fall is scheduled to debut this spring, followed by The Hated with artist Sean Damian Hill. And of course, like I said, he's doing his other stuff, including his writing class in Portland State. Where's all the comic creators in Portland? Is that like a commune going on over there? I keep asking. Like, I know
there have been jokes about that for years now.
Yeah, I know. I've definitely said one of them.
No, but once Bendis really started to get going, and he brought, and he kind of made it known that there were other characters, because not every creator publicizes where they're from,
right, or where they're going to be. Because I've known, like, I know
that once he mentioned that there were other people living near him, that's when it started to really, become known that there were a bunch of creators congregating around Portland, Oregon.
Right. And yeah, and I'm pretty sure I've said this, if not last year, then the year before, like, there had to be a commune there, because I was like, there's a bunch of comic creators there, which I kind of understand, being Portland,
Oh, and if I'm not mistaken, was that Emerald City Con?
That I believe that would be the closest one.
And I think
Portland has a con itself, though.
No, but I think that con in particular, because it drew a certain certain artists that didn't necessarily travel around the country.
Sure.
That's when it also starts to become evident that there was a community, at least a burgeoning back then, a community of comic creators in that area of the country. Like I said, it started to leak more and more. Like, oh, by the way, there's a bunch of them up there.
Or some would, or maybe it was because of the fact that Portlandia was such a influential show a couple of years ago that they just had to go, because whatever.
I think they actually predate Portlandia.
I know. That was a joke. Oh. I was about to sing that theme song, but I can't remember it. Thankfully,
I stomped all over it only because I never watched it. So
I watched it. It wasn't a bad show. I watched some of it anyway. But anyway, so yeah, that's the thing. Because I remember talking to one creator. I think it was Chris Sims. I was talking to Chris Sims and Chris Bauer at one point a couple of years ago, and I think Chris Sims said he was going to move to Portland, which I don't know if he ever did, because I think there was wherever he was. Regardless of, and that was the other reason what started me thinking it was like there was a commune going on outside of, like I said, everybody else going. I'm like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
I knew somebody in Portland, but I don't know them well enough to ask them, like, what's really going on over there. But anyway, that being the case, hey, good on David F. Walker. I guess hopefully we'll get to see what his imprint comes about. And that, folks, is the end of the comic book news and brings us to the end of the show. We got one more ad read.
One more ad read is I'm reading an article from 2011 about how Portland became the best comic city in America. 2011.
You will have to shoot that to me. Yeah, I don't doubt it. You have to shoot that one to me. I'm curious about that.
All righty. So as I take a sip of water before I read tonight's last ad read.
Oh, while you getting set up for that, I forgot. I had asked Tim about his thoughts on Young Justice and the trailers, but I think he had mentioned that his note was mentioning Young Justice. He says, "I like it, of course." Talking about season 3 of Young Justice, I like it, of course. Only negative is the action scenes aren't as impressive as past seasons, which yeah, I can probably see that, I guess.
Okay, all right. There. Our last ad read of the night is for Funko, Fun at First Sight. It's your home for exclusive collectibles such as the world-famous pop vinyl bobbleheads, apparel, t-shirts, hats, and socks, and brand merchandise, custom DIY pop figures, art books, and skateboards. And now the listeners of the Comic Book Chronicles can enjoy 10% off your entire purchase when shopping at Funko. To place your first order with 10% off, And to help keep our show free for you, go to our network website at cspn.us. That's cspn.us. Then click on the Keep Our Podcast Free link at the top of the page. From there, scroll down to the Funko link and place your order. When you get to the checkout, put in the offer code SHOP10 for your 10% off discount. Funko through cspn.us. Do it today.
Great, and apparently they're now starting to do Pokemon stuff, and I might need to get this this Bulbasaur they got up here on the video. Or if you're watching the video, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Oh my goodness! Well, this is the perfect. I was about to say, Funko has got the perfect look for most of those characters.
Pretty much, they're probably not good. They're going as they do with other sets. They're probably going to stick with like the more popular and a short lineup. They're not going to. Clearly not going to do 100 or there's like 800 and things. So.
Right. They may or may not do bobbleheads. They may just be vinyl figures.
Oh, I suspect they'll probably do bobbleheads.
Right, depending on I was about to say it depends on the character.
Yes. Like, and you know, the 3 starters plus Pikachu probably, and you know, if they add on somebody else, maybe an Ash and some other figures. More like if they haven't already done it. Regardless, that's that. We don't need to go into that.
I just remember being shocked that they weren't all bobbleheads.
Right. Yeah, I know. I was like, huh, weird. And then, of course, they got the Dorbs line, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of that stuff. So we come to the end of another Comic Book Chronicles, the 300th Comic Book Chronicles, folks.
Yay!
And people are out there like, but yes, so yeah, we didn't have anything special planned, but you know what, Tim was the special thing, and that was
and poor
plan.
PCN_dirt dealing with the real life weather and power being knocked out. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, always something at certain sometimes is weird. It's like I'm telling you, he might actually be living in Silent Hill.
Oh no,
the way things happen around him, or whatever the case may be. But regardless, folks, you can find both of those folks. That's Tim DOGG98 on Twitter, TheKLIQNation.com and TheKLIQNation on Twitter. That's TheKLIQNation. CB Cron on Twitter, and of course the thrice aforementioned Comic Book Resources. Go check out that's cbr.com, where you can go see him write his face, or not, you can't see him write his face off unless he does that for a Twitch stream one day, which I don't can't. They do that kind of stuff. Anyway, hey, they do, man. They got all kinds of stuff on Twitch. You should. There's a Kung Fu marathon going on right now. Just a bunch of Shaw Brothers stuff on Gamma_TV. So, you know, I'm just saying, 5 Deadly Venoms, 36 Chambers, and a whole bunch of other Shaw Brothers stuff that they've been doing all week. You can go check that out at the time of this recording. Which I'm sure won't be the last time. Anyway, him promoting freaking Twitch. Excuse me.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say, I can't press the cash register button on this. Go on.
I mean, you can, but we're not getting nothing from it. Yeah. But anyway, CB Cron for Tim, CBR, and like I said, the article that he has with Scott Snyder should be out by the time you hear this, unless you were watching live, which I don't think anybody was. Also, PCN_dirt on Twitter, PopCultureNet on Twitter, PopCultureNetwork.com, INeedComics.com, and that new ToySmell.com, and whatever that buying thing that is coming soonish, if it actually shows up. I think we've said it enough to where either if it's still coming, then it's still coming. If it's not, we may have killed it.
Oh, no.
Which would be funny if it's all right if we had that kind of clout. But Agent_70 on Twitter and Instagram, go check him out over there. And myself, Ridercat on Twitter, News Nerds Need on Twitter, CB Caps on Twitter, where I've been kind of slack on putting some stuff up, but I see The Adam Black had tagged us in on a bunch of stuff, which I probably will repost. Some of which for Black History Month with black superheroes and some other stuff. Some good information. I may end up. I will probably repost that in the next.
Is that on
days.
Instagram?
Yeah, he tagged us on Instagram. Yeah.
Okay. Wait, did he tag CB Caps?
He texts. Yeah, he texts. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well,
that's why I didn't see it. I don't know if I follow him.
No. He tagged. I believe he tagged you too.
Okay.
Because a couple of times he's tagged all four of us, but he doesn't tag me under Maya. He tags me under CB Caps.
Okay.
And I saw Tim had already liked a couple of times, but he already knew about it, obviously. So but yeah, so good stuff. You should go check that out. There, and like I said, I will repost that's some of that stuff. There's some good info, and I don't know if he has I know he has an Instagram, but I don't know if he has a specific Instagram for that stuff he's doing. But
no, it's just under the _Adam_.
Okay, so it's so it's under the Adam Black where he's doing that stuff. Regardless, you will see the link when I repost the stuff.
No, I was about to say I'm not tagged on this, but okay. I see it. I didn't see it. Yeah. No, he did CB Caps. That's why, because he did CB Caps and Tim Dog 98.
Oh, okay. So the last one he did, because there was one article that he did asking us who our favorite Stanley, and I totally forgot to answer it. This is totally inside baseball stuff that we don't really have to do right now. That being said, you can find the podcast on cspn.us. Do it today. You'll be joining us soon. All that kind of good stuff. You can also subscribe to the podcast on Google Play and Apple iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and the Cold Slither Podcast SoundCloud link. And go to CSPN and go to shop.cspn.us, which will basically bounce to cspn.us, and go to Keep Our Podcast Free and just click one of those links right there. And help us out with some merch. Go get some merch for this stuff. A nice mug, perhaps. A t-shirt, perhaps. Something. You want some Comic Book Chronicles swag. Do it today. And with that, we will see you guys next week for 301.
Hopefully everyone's back in the swing of things at that point. Hopefully we're able to get Tim Dog 98 on the show more often.
Yeah, but
as things go forward.
The parenthood and he's busy, so hopefully we will get him back when we can for certain. Which sounds like is a possibility sooner rather than later.
That's the hope.
Yep. And on that, as I pulled this thing up, boop, boop, boop. This is the Comic Book Chronicles. Have a good time, folks. 300!
We're out. Peace. 1. Okay.